Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our special school district Lunch and Learn series, hosted by the Family and Community Engagement Division, better known as FACE. My name is LaDonna Ellis. I am one of the members here in our FACE division. Just to let you find out a little bit about our division. So, FACE division, our Family and Community Engagement mission, is to partner with students, families, and staff, and we are all about student success, whether that's academically, socially, and emotionally. But in our division, we promote self-determination, equitable opportunities, and authentic inclusion. We provide lots of supports to families and staff, and you can be able to learn more about that on SSD's website. That is below there, but you can be able to Google on the SSD website, all things FACE, and we will be able to support you. And I'll leave you our email and phone number at the end of the presentation. I'm excited. We have Rachel Cox here with the Department of Mental Health in their St. Louis Regional Office. Rachel is the intake supervisor there at the St. Louis Regional Office. Rachel, so glad to have you here to talk to us today about intake and eligibility determination. Thanks so much for
Oh,
being here.
thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Rachel Cox. I'm the intake supervisor with the Department of Mental Health, Division of Developmental Disabilities, St. Louis Regional Office. So I'm here to share some information with you on our intake and eligibility process. So the Division of Developmental Disabilities is committed to improving the quality of life for individuals with developmental disabilities and their families. Offering support across the lifespan, the division implements a statewide system of supportive services that focuses on assuring health and safety, supporting access to community participation, and increasing opportunities for meaningful employment. Next slide. So the Division of Developmental Disabilities serves individuals with intellectual disabilities and/or developmental disabilities whose condition presented during the individual's developmental years results in the individual functioning significantly below average in major life areas and requires lifelong specialized coordination and supports. Next slide, please. So a few of the conditions that are related to intellectual or developmental disabilities are autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, epilepsy, brain injury, learning disability, other congenital, chromosomal, neurological, musculoskeletal conditions related to intellectual or developmental disability. Next slide, please. So the division's eligibility specifics. So the intellectual disability must be present before the age of 18. A developmental disability must be present before the age of 22. And an individual must function at approximately 87 to 95% below average in major life areas, measured by an adaptive behavior assessment. So for the substantial functional limitations, the areas that we kind of look at are mobility, communication, self-care, learning, self-direction, and independent living. So a substantial functional limitation means an inability due to a cognitive or physical impairment to independently perform a major life activity without assistance from other people, programs, services, or mechanical devices within expectations of age and culture. Next slide, please. So intake eligibility determination. So the purpose of the intake process is to determine if an individual is eligible to be served through the division. So in general, there are 4 stages. Stage 1 is referral and application. Stage 2 is record verification. 3 is assessment, and 4 is determination. Next slide, please. So the intake process, step one, referral initiation. Anyone, a family member, friend, provider, social worker, etc., may initiate the referral process on behalf of the individual and or the responsible person by contacting the individual's Division of Developmental Disabilities Regional Office via phone. We do have an online referral option coming soon. There is a link on this slide for our website where you can find the regional office that is closest to you. Um, the referrals for services will be accepted from concerned parties such as educators, medical professionals, family members, social workers, developmental disability service providers, etc. Applications must be submitted by individuals and or the legally responsible party, such as an applicant that's over the age of 18 years of age without a legal guardian, a biological or adoptive parent applying for a minor child, a legal guardian appointed by a court. We will need a copy of the court order or guardianship documentation, a public administrator, or a case manager slash guardian from Children's Division. Next slide, please. So the intake process, step one, the referral information. So the individual parent of a minor child or guardian calls the regional office or satellite office to begin the application process. An intake specialist will assist with the completion of the application by asking you for basic demographic information used to fill out the application for services. They will also gather information regarding the nature of disability, names of those who would have information supporting the disability, and the potential applicant status with Medicaid. So the intake unit will need the following information to initiate the formal application process with the individual and or responsible person. So the individual's information, we would need their name, date of birth, DCN or Medicaid number, if applicable, their intellectual or developmental diagnosis, their diagnosing physician or hospital, special communication needs that they might have, their physical address, mailing address, their phone number and email address if applicable. And then we would also need the responsible person's information, which is a parent of a minor child, a court-appointed legal guardian or custodian. So we'll need their name, their relation, affiliation, legal responsibility type, if they have any special communication needs, their physical address and mailing address, and their phone number and email address. So upon receipt of a complete referral, the intake unit will initiate contact with the individual and or responsible person within 1 business day to start the formal application process. Next slide, please. So the step 2 of the intake process is record verification. So the Division of Developmental Disabilities will verify that an individual has an intellectual or developmental disability related condition by collecting various medical, psychological, educational, and or other relevant records. Here's a list of records frequently requested. So we've got education records, their first step enrollment documentation, their individualized educational plan or IEP. We also need the school evaluation that was completed, a 504 plan, the Missouri Schools for the Severely Disabled records, psychological records, intelligent quotient or IQ testing, psychological evaluations or other psychometric testing, adaptive behavior assessments, medical records such as genetic testing and neurological testing, and Social Security Administration disability determination records. And then there's just a disclaimer. So the Division of Developmental Disabilities does not provide diagnostic testing or confirmation. All diagnostic evaluations and testing must be completed prior to applying for services through the division. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next part of the process is step three, which is the Missouri Adaptive Ability Scale, or MAS assessment. So the MAS is the adaptive assessment, behavior assessment that the division utilizes to administer to verify that individuals meet the substantial functional limitations requirement. So the assessment is a virtual assessment. You would just need access to either a tablet with a camera or a desktop or a laptop with a camera. The assessment takes approximately 90 minutes to administer. Stage one of the assessment, the individual is interviewed and observed. Stages two and three, an informant with extensive knowledge about the individual's functioning in a variety of settings is interviewed. That could be a parent or guardian, another close family member or friend. Um, the assessment is administered by a certified developmental disabilities assessor. The assessment determines eligibility, priority of need, and rate allocation, and the results of the assessment are valid for up to 3 years. So the Division of Developmental Disabilities has up to 60 days to complete the assessment after all of the application paperwork and necessary records are received. So those are records verifying that the individual has an intellectual or developmental disability. Next slide, please. So eligibility determination. So when an individual is eligible to be served through the division, the intake unit will initiate a service referral within 3 business days. So the service referral is based upon the individual's MoHealthNet or Medicaid status and county of residence. So for individuals that are enrolled in MoHealthNet or Missouri Medicaid, they will be referred to either the division support coordination, which is referred to as state support coordination, or a contracted provider support coordination, which is referred to as targeted case management. So examples of targeted case management agencies in our area are Center for Human Services, or CHS, in St. Louis County, the St. Louis office, Developmental Disability Resources, or DDR, in St. Louis City, the Developmental Disabilities Resource Board, DDRB, in St. Charles County, and the Developmental Disability Advocates, or DDA, in Jefferson County. So if an individual is not enrolled in MoHealthNet or Missouri Medicaid, they're found eligible for services, they'll actually be referred to the division resource and referral team, which is also referred to the information specialist team. And then there's also contracted provider resource and referral, which is referred to as county support specialist. So the individual's county and or caseload volume determines which agency receives the referral. Next slide, please. So if an individual is determined ineligible to be served through the division, the intake unit will notify the individual and or the responsible person within 1 business day. The following appeal options are available. So step 1, the appeal. The individual will appeal the intake unit's decision. So they'll appeal to the regional office director or their designee within 30 calendar days. So a person who has applied to the Division of Developmental Disabilities for services and has been determined ineligible for services may appeal that decision. A written explanation is provided to the individual or a legally responsible person regarding the reasons for ineligibility, the right to request an appeal, and the appeal process. They must appeal within 30 days after they receive written notice that they are ineligible. If an individual disagrees with the decision, they may notify intake staff that they want their case heard by the regional office director, and they will receive written notice that the regional office has received their request to appeal. They may present any additional information that relates to the appeal in a meeting with the regional office director or a regional office representative. They will receive the regional office director's decision on the appeal within 10 business days after the appeal is received. So step two, um, after that decision is received, so it's kind of progressive. So the next step would be to appeal to an impartial hearing referee. So if an individual disagrees with the decision of the regional office director, they may, within 30 days after receiving that decision, notify the regional office intake staff that they want an appeals referee to hear their case. And they would receive that decision within 30 calendar days. Um, and then after that, the next step would be to appeal to the circuit court. Um, so if an individual disagrees with the decision made by the impartial hearing referee, they may appeal to the circuit court according to Chapter 536 of the Revised Statutes of Missouri. Next slide, please. So waiver eligibility. So waiver eligibility is not determined at the point of intake. After an individual is determined eligible to be served by the division, a support coordinator will meet with the individual to discuss specific waiver programs and services. So general waiver eligibility requirements. The purpose is to prevent long-term institutionalization in an intermediate care facility for individuals with intellectual disabilities. So one of the requirements is that the individual be enrolled in MoHealthNet or Missouri Medicaid, so the waivered services can be reimbursed. The individual must have an intellectual and or developmental disability that is waiver eligible. They must meet the ICF or ID level of care, meaning that they have to be 95% below average in 3 major life areas on the Moss assessment. And step 4, they must be at risk of ICF or ID institutionalization without a DD waiver. So we have a disclaimer. So each waiver has different requirements and capacities. Access to waiver services is based upon priority of need and available funding. So the division administers 4 Medicaid-funded home and community-based services waivers. The first one is the community support waiver, comprehensive waiver, the Missouri Children's Developmental Disabilities, or MOCDD waiver, which is also referred to as the Sarah Lopez waiver. And the last one is the Partnership for Hope waiver. Next slide, please. So services that are available across all of the developmental disability waivers are applied behavior analysis, assistive technology, community networking, community specialist, rehabilitation, environmental accessibility adaptations, or home and vehicle modifications, health assessment and coordination services, individual directed goods and services, individualized skill development, personal assistant, remote supports, specialized medical equipment and supplies or adaptive equipment, a support broker, and transportation. Next slide, please. So the services that are available in the different developmental disability waivers are benefits planning, career planning, community transition, crisis intervention, dental care, family peer support, group home, home delivered meals, individualized supported living or ISLs, intensive therapeutic residential habilitation, job development, occupational therapy, physical therapy, pre-vocational services, professional assessment and monitoring, in-home respite care, out-of-home respite care, shared living, such as a host home or companion, speech therapy, and supported employment. Next slide, please. Well, that concludes my presentation. The intake team would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. If you would like to complete an application over the phone, you can call our main intake line at 314-587-4800, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And you can also contact the intake leadership team if you have any questions at dmh.dd.intake@dmh.mo.gov. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate you being here today, and giving this great information. This is going to be great for our families and the staff that support our families. Just to give you all information about FACE, if you have different questions about not only this presentation or interested in any other of our presentations that we have through our Lunch and Learns or even our webinars, just email FACE at face@ssdmo.org or give us a call on our team number 314-989-8460. We would love to get your feedback, not only on this presentation, so you can use the QR code there on your screen and let us know about what you thought about this presentation. And if there are any other topics that you are interested in, we want to be able to respond to what you would like to know about and learn about. So thanks so much for joining, and you all have a wonderful day. Thanks, Rachel.
All right, thank you.
I'll let you know. Hopefully everything like worked out okay. I'm looking on my screen and
Yeah.
I'm like, I still see a little strip. So hopefully it doesn't show up on the recording. But so hopefully it'll everything worked out okay. And
Yeah.
but yeah,
I got
nice to
tripped up
meet
a
you.
little bit. There's like a lot of big words in there.
Yeah, it's a lot. You did great for
Yeah.
your first presentation.
Ah,
It's awesome. We
thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank
All
you.
right, well, you have a great week, okay?
All right, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye.